in honor of you guys are here, I want to talk a little bit about the mix and motherfucking serve.
Yeah.
Right?
Damn.
So why don't you let everyone know out there, give them a rundown of what it is.
I will give you a basic rundown of what it is. So the Mix and Serve is a satirical news show whose setting is inside of a bar. So the bartenders are anchors, the servers, the traffic correspondent. She's always late, not just because she's black, but because of LA traffic.
Traffic, y'all.
And then there's the sports guy who's the bar back. He's like the most pumped about the whole thing. And then there's the barfly who's the weather person because she was just outside. And our hostess is our international news correspondent who Alyssa used to play.
Yes.
And the hostess covers international news because she's never at a host stand. So it's like kind of melting together like the world of like mixology and bartending with like doing the news and comedy. So it's like one part comedy, one part drinking, and one part journalism. Shaken vigorously, served all up in your face, real funky.
The news palatable.
That's right. We try to make news palatable again. So that's why we're doing like these 3 new versions. Because like originally when it started, it was like more of a podcast style.
I was gonna say, like, get into like the beginnings where this came from, the inception of
this
the
is more
show.
than 2 years. It's been
come a long
like
way.
2+ years in the making, and it was made like a couple of weeks before the official election. So it was like October 16th or something of 2016. And I already knew Donald Trump was going to become president. It was like weeks out. And I was like, you know what? If we're gonna go through this, we gotta try to find like some way for us to deal with it, because I don't feel like there's like a political news show that speaks directly for millennials and like to us, and specifically for us. Like, and I love John Oliver, and I love Trevor Noah, and I love the Weekend Update, but none of those guys represent our demographic.
Corporate swine.
I mean, you know, no offense, but like they are. Like,
went there.
you know what I mean? Like, I love John Oliver, but his show is owned, you know, by Time Warner through whatever channels, and it's things like that that like keep us in a different light and let us address things differently. But yeah, I created it because I knew that was gonna happen, and I was like, how do I deal with this? And I was like, because millennials, we only get our news through social media. Like, I don't want to check
Twitter,
Google, or anything. I want to just go to Twitter. Like, I didn't even watch the Oscars this year. I just
You just were
Twitter.
updating the
I just
Twitter
threw
feed.
up Twitter and was like, hashtag Oscars, and everything I needed to know would just pop up right there.
Right.
Why would I have to watch something that I don't want to see? So I was like, how do I make this palatable again? And I was like, well, it's like social media is like word of mouth. You know, word of mouth is like fucking old school bartenders. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a bartender. I was like, that's what we do all the time. It used to be like you couldn't talk about like religion or sex at the bar. And now that's all we talk about is religion, sex, and politics. Well, you could talk about sex, but you couldn't talk about like religion and politics at the bar. And now it's like all we talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, since that rule has been broken, I was like, let's make it into a joke then, because that's funny. Like a conservative and a liberal walk into a bar. That's hilarious. I would love to see what happens next.
Disaster.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's how it became. And then after a while of doing episodes like that, I did like maybe 13 episodes in that style on this live streaming network called BidChat way back in the day, when live streaming was just like becoming a new thing. This is before
You say
Facebook did it.
that. You say that like it was when it was dial-up or something, bro.
Wait a minute.
Like way
because
back in the
before
day.
everybody else started doing live streaming. So like there was no
2 years
IGTV,
ago.
there was no Facebook TV, there was none of that stuff. YouTube didn't have a live
What
streaming
about
service.
Twitch? Is that the same thing, or
Twitch
is that like hard to
was
monetize?
the only other thing like it, and I don't think I think they came out around about the same time. But this was like, it was like this, but like a live streaming network that would just show the shows that one time, and then they stay up online after that. So they're still on there. I haven't found out how to take them off. But they're private on YouTube, so unless you find some magical way to get to them through BidChat, I don't think you'll ever see the old ones. But then we started doing a full cast like the year of 2017. I actually held auditions. So that was 2 years ago exactly, 2 days ago.
Oh, wow!
Nice.
Happy
Happy
anniversary!
birthday.
Yeah, it was on my birthday that I held the
nice.
first auditions for the full cast.
No, that's surprising.
Happy belated birthday!
Nice.
Thank you.
Was that your planning and your choice?
Yeah, I mean, it just
Little
seemed like a
birthday
good day.
present to yourself?
Yeah, I was like,
God.
why not?
Everyone come perform for me.
Yes. Oh my
I
God.
made them do it, and they came. So whatever. They loved it, and a lot of them are still in the show. A lot of them. Some of them are not. And after we did that full cast, it was really cool. I eventually stopped doing that crazy ass green screen thing I was doing. We're bringing it back for the mini version, but that's how we
get there.
basically transition to where we are now. And then once we did the next version after that was that season. So there's the first season that don't watch, and then the second season, which was like full cast, and then this most recent season, which I produced with Alyssa Brayboy, which was quite an experience. I'll let her tell you about this most recent season.
The most recent season was a learning experience, to say the least. We decided to go SAG, which was amazing. Had a space, had a whole crew as far as a DP and a sound mixer. Like, we went the whole 9 yards, and oh my goodness, guys. I'm like, do I ever want to do this again? We definitely trial and error, but we got some great content out of it, built some really great relationships, and so now we're going back to the drawing board and figuring out what worked, what didn't work, and now we're moving on to the mix and serve minutes, and 2 different versions of the show, so that we keep content consistent and growing our audience.
So what is the mix and serve minutes? Like a short version of the show, like a quick hitter?
Yes.
Yeah, so like in the original version, there was just podcast style. It was like this long formatted version trying to mix together mainstream news with social media news to serve the truth in the metaphor of a cocktail. So like the first drink in the show ever was like mainstream media was the bourbon of this drink, right? Like we'll have like a drink of the week and we'll say mainstream media was the bourbon. They've been blacked out for 8 years, so they thought they weren't racist because of who their president was. And then they woke up and realized they've been drinking Kentucky bourbon this whole time. You've been super racist this whole time. And then you go to social media and there's like a little bit of sugar at the bottom for the guys who are like really enjoying being back on top. Like, yeah, you will not forget us. And then the bitters for basically everyone else who's like, what is this? And 2 giant ice cubes because we're locked into this 2-party system. And you throw a cherry in there because it wouldn't be an American story without a cherry on top. And you garnish it with an orange peel because that's who won. And it turns out America's been an old-fashioned this whole time, and everyone's been surprised. So that's like
Great
a
metaphor.
big part of like how just the show works. But that part has stayed consistent while the structure has sort of changed over time. So it went from being like a long hour and a half long podcast style of me doing like several drinks, just like talking about the news.
And don't
You
forget the
drink all of them
drinking
too?
games. Oh, yes.
Yeah, and drinking games.
And drinking games.
So by the
Drinking
7th
games and
drink, you've had
drinking
7
games.
drinks?
But like, yeah, so it's like really
Something like
important
that.
that like the audience was there. That's why we liked having the live streaming audience. And then for both season 2 and season 3, basically, or season 1 and season 2, whatever you want to call them, the 2 full cast seasons we filmed in front of a live audience, which was quite a job.
Yeah.
Was it, did you prefer that or no?
I loved it because I mean I think most of us have experience with theater and with comedy and with doing sketch comedy, and so it just worked out, especially because of the drinking game structure and the audience having drinking games made us able to deal with the news a lot better.
Yeah.
It's really funny when you can like listen to Donald Trump and be like, every time he says this in this speech, take a drink. You know, that's not what ever happened in the show, but that's a whatever
It
example.
sounds like a dangerous game.
But the mix and serve minutes, to answer your question, is just like a 60-second to 120-second clip version of something that's like that, but we'll take like, but it's more weekend update than what we've
Yeah,
been
it's
doing.
like a punchline.
Okay.
One punchline and then you're out.
It's
of
just
there.
And
like
we make our drink.
here's the story, here's the joke,
Yeah.
here's the drink. Good night.
That's your mix and
With
serve minute, y'all.
the drink of the week, are these drinks you just make up yourself? Like you're creating your own type of drink?
Yeah,
You
I'm
should
a
make like a
mixologist.
cookbook of those for the show. Like it'd be like the show's drink
Oh,
book.
Carl,
like
I
sell
like
a drink
you.
book
We're
of that
I like
shit.
actually
You know
adding
what I
a
mean?
page to that on our website.
Now you have to give Carl
on the Mix
special
and
thanks on the
Serve.
inside cover.
On
on it.
themixandserve.bar. If you go to that website, at some point, because of the Mix and Serve minutes, we'll start building up a regular repertoire of these drinks and putting them onto like a page.
Nice.
that people, and there'll be a virgin version next to it because I know some people don't drink, and I don't want you to not enjoy the show just because you don't
right.
drink. The
That's
news
right.
sucks enough. You
Hey,
don't have
that's
to,
right.
You don't have to drink.
Skip X Radio.